We're going to move on to Chelsea now, and we've talked about Chelsea's transfer strategy a lot on this podcast with Kieran and Graeme. Their approach maybe seems the riskiest. They've gone for young players. They've gone for more unproven players. They've still spent an awful lot of money. But Graeme, is the idea that they will reap the benefits of the potential of the players they've purchased, or is it about eventually selling those players as more developed assets?
I think it's a no-lose situation this season for a lot of these players. And we saw that with some of their sales. They're making huge profits on the like of Madueke, Renato Vega, João Felix. They're not losing money on him, and stuff like that. Where it's a no-brainer. Where they're not going to lose money on Estêvão, even Gerald Hato and Delap are definitely not going to lose money on. But they are building. I do wonder, come the new year, we may see a little change. I think that we'll see a couple of older heads come in come 2026. I think Mike Maignan will probably come in goal, who will add real world-class stability in goal. But I do think they are lacking a little bit in terms of maturity in the squad. And no matter what happens, they've been hampered by injuries massively, Chelsea. I would say that from the outset. Losing Delap and Colwell as they have has hit them really hard. And no matter how good the squad is, if you're taking 2 fit starters out of the lineup, Delap you could argue about, but I think they were going to start with him. Take 2 starters out of any team's lineup, it is going to hurt you. And Maresca, I think he's doing a really, really good job coping with this squad. But I do think, they are lacking a couple of older heads. I do wonder if we see that addressed in 2026, because I think whilst they will, secure a top 4 finish, we will see them come up short of the other 3. And I think they'll bear that in mind when it comes to the 2026 transfers.
So you're suggesting an older head, someone maybe who's won some medals, a Premier League or 2. I don't know, if only someone like Raheem Sterling was available, eh?
Well, I say older heads that can, with that fire in the bellies. I'm not saying Raheem doesn't, but I don't think Raheem is anywhere near this Chelsea squad with Estêvão, Palmer, Garnacho, Gittens. I don't think he's anywhere near. But I think other parts of the squad, like in goal and at centre half, I think that's where they would welcome it, and they probably will look to bring someone in.
João Pedro is another name we haven't mentioned. Dan, one player to get your view on, Alejandro Garnacho. What's your view of him being in blue?
It just wasn't what we expected when he broke through. We're looking at, he was the almost the poster child for our late flourish of signing players from abroad before Brexit came in and stopped us, buying the young kids from Spain, Italy for, before they hit 18. And the way he broke through, he was outstanding at United, and he just faded. I think, Emery's system didn't suit him at all, and he didn't have the maturity to deal with that. And even this summer has been really uncomfortable to watch for him in terms of him trying to force a move to Chelsea. And he's had a really slow start there. I do think he'll do okay there, but I'm not convinced he's going to be there long term. I think he will end up being sold on for a profit at some stage.
Do you think he's a player that will develop though and start making a difference? Because maybe one problem for him at United is he played an awful lot of football, especially for his age. He actually became an incredibly important player for a sustained period, but didn't always have the end product. And if he can start delivering that end product, then we're talking about a really important player.
I think the biggest issue for him is that Chelsea invested heavily in that position on the left for him and for Jamie Gittens, and both of them want to play, and both of them are going to be, chopping and changing. There's not much consistency there. He just needs to find that, because he's not played a lot of football at all over the last year. As a potentially outstanding player there. In theory, I'd like to see him do well, just maybe not for Chelsea. I agree with Graeme. I think Chelsea are short in goal and at centre back. That's where they're lacking to, I think, top class players. If they could have Thiago Silva, with about 32, he'd make a massive difference in that Chelsea defence.
What do you think of their approach? Do you like it as a fan? Do you think it's smart, or do you think it's reckless?
I think when you look at how much Chelsea have spent, they've spent probably about $1 billion under Todd Boehly, and then you look at their squad and you think that's what they've spent it on. It doesn't line up. It doesn't make sense, the quality of their squad. I think they're going to struggle with injuries with the Club World Cup. We've seen it already. Liam Delap getting injured is a bit of a blow for them, because he's a player with, who was a good signing. I think he's going to have some potential to do well. Their approach, I don't like it. I don't like the whole treating players as an investment. I don't like what we're doing with stockpiling players at Strasbourg and almost cheating the transfer system a little bit. It doesn't feel right. There's suggestions United could go down the same route with Ineos and owning Nice and Lausanne, and I'm not massively keen that we go and do the same thing. I don't necessarily think Chelsea are much further forward in terms of where they were 2 or 3 years ago to where they are now. For the amount of money they've invested, I would argue that it's probably not working so far.